Yep.
All right, so I've been getting a lot of questions about the Mizzou choke, all right, and its complexities. It's really not all that difficult, all right, but maybe there's some misconceptions. A lot of people see it as a rolling choke, or they think they're supposed to roll. You can roll the choke like an anaconda choke. An anaconda choke does not have to have a roll with it. If you're white and trashy like me from Louisiana, we call it a gator roll choke because of the alligators around here, and alligators will death roll you in order to kill you. But you don't need to roll the choke in order to set the gator choke or the anaconda choke in. It's a compressing of the neck, all right? If I'm gonna choke John out, I've gotta cut the blood off his arteries, all right? It doesn't matter if I use his gi, if I use my arms, or if I use his shoulder and one of my arms. The dorse, the head and arm choke, the anaconda choke, they're all, the arm and guillotine, they're all a one arm on the artery, shoulder in the other artery type of choke, all right? If I go to choke John like this, hand coming through this side to here, all right? And I put that figure 4 grip like this, and I compress down on John. This part of my arm is compressing, or this part is compressing the artery at the bottom. His shoulder is compressing his artery on this side of the neck, all right? If I do a head and arm choke from this arm inside, and I lock up the same grip, and I compress, it's the same thing. This side of my arm now is compressing the bottom of his neck. This shoulder still compressing that side of his neck. I'm still choking him. The misconception about rolling is that that's how it's supposed to be done. It's just an entry. That's all it is. It's simply an entry. I'll show you. Go on your knees and turtle. If I'm to wrap an anaconda choke up, or a gator choke, my arm comes in on this side of the neck, so it's gonna block that artery. Comes in on this side. Clasp with the tricep. Pushes it over. Why am I pushing it over? Because I need his shoulder to eventually go inside of this part of his neck. Arm comes in. I'm gonna dip my head all the way down underneath. 2 reasons. My head stops his arm from coming back out, putting space between his neck and shoulder again, and allows me to dig myself underneath him like a bit tunneling through. I come in, I roll, and I have the choke. Hand is up tight, slides in place. Arm could be here, here, or here, depending on the variant of the choke. And then I can squeeze and tap him out and walk myself into him, closing in the space of the arteries. But I don't have to roll because I can do that choke like this. It's the same thing, okay? I actually prefer that way because I can put the weight of my body on top of him, where here I'm sideways and I have to push his chin inside of his neck and compress him this way and wrap him up. That's why often you don't see people finish the anaconda choke, because of the head placement loses the neck, and you have to usually go up to mount, and he ends up like neck cranking someone, which is fine. A tap is a tap. So what's the Mizzou choke? It's basically, come on, so we can get a little further away. Okay. It's basically the exact same choke with one arm. That's all it is. This hand comes underneath and it's grabbing this tricep. Now there's a lot of setups from this, from like failed arming guillotines and things like that. This arm is pulling the tricep down. I'm going to walk around and put my boobies on top of his shoulder. His shoulder should be in between my boobies. I put all my weight in here, grab his leg, walk. Now come to this side so you can hear me. As my weight is on his on my boobies, on his shoulders, and I grab him here, I'm going to pull this elbow up like this. That's gonna drive the shoulder deeper into the neck. That's gonna drive this part of my bony wrist into the bottom part of his neck. I'm here, I locked it in, I come in place, I can hold his legs, and I drop my weight, and I pull up, and I tap him like that. I drop my bottom hip and pass it back, my foot, so that way I can get a good leverage on the pull. Is it twisting his spine in a way? Yes, but it's a choke. Now, if you have that position, and you're in deep, you can actually take his leg and push him sideways over. And that makes it really, really bad. All right? Because now we're twisting his spine and it's jerking his shoulder inside of his neck that way. You can still roll and get the choke. It's the same thing no matter how you do it. On top, on your side, on the bottom, the mechanics will always be the same. It's a Mizzou choke if it's one arm. If it's two arms, it's either a head and arm choke, an anaconda choke, a gator choke, a dorse, depending if your arm goes the other way. It's the same thing. Does not matter. Okay? When you see a Mizzou choke, all fours, from the rolling position, that's when we're here in that guillotine or that arm and guillotine fail, and I catch it like this, just like the anaconda choke, and I pull that in. This head comes down just like the anaconda choke, allows me to get that drive, that drill. This head blocks his arm from coming back out so it doesn't relieve any pressure off his neck. And you don't have to do this, but this arm actually shoots through and grabs his leg. This is what happens. So I come here, and I shoot through, and I land like this. All right? Or you land with this leg, you grab. You can grab either leg because this is not how you're going to choke him. All right? Then you would come up into the Mizzou choke position, doing the exact same thing, putting my boobies on top of the shoulder. I can hold on to the leg and come all the way up. I'm actually not good with that one. I end up losing my position, so I just let go and come up. I just catch it and do a rock up and come all the way up. They don't ever spin away from me anyway, so it's not like I ever need the legs. And I can catch right back up and catch their legs if I have to. So that's how you do the Mizzou choke. You don't have to roll, but you can roll. It's not gonna make it any better, but it might help you with, say, a wrestler who's very scrambly. You can control that position. But the basis of the Mizzou choke is simply a one-arm head and arm choke. And I'm just pressing down using my arm and their shoulder for the choke.